One, two, testing one, two. This is Dom Famularo, and this is so exciting. Mapex allows me to have this opportunity on Mondays to connect with these phenomenal drummers and to hear their stories. And I am just so amazed. I am so humbled, and I'm so just deeply involved in a lot of these drummers' lives because they really are the future of what's happening in modern drum set. They really are the next generation of players that are out there creating this force of passion that is just so exciting to experience. And it's just so exciting to witness and listen to. So all of you that join us in this call that we have here, we're live on Facebook and the Mapex YouTube channel. So it's Mapex Facebook, mapexdrums.com is what their website is, Mapex Drums on Facebook, and of course, Mapex Drums on their YouTube channel. And today, I've got a player that I am blown away by. The times that I've heard him play, he just completely swings his tail off and is so musical. So would you please all just welcome Mr. Lyndon Rochelle.
Hey, what's happening, Dom? How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Lyndon. Thank you so much for joining me. You know, there's a lot I want to capture in this hour as far as just your story and just the world tours that you have done, which have been just so exciting in the artists that you're playing with. I mean, you really are moving this art form forward.
Oh, bless you, man. Appreciate that, Dom. It means a lot coming from you, man. Appreciate that.
I love it, man. So I got to start. I mean, you were at 5 years old. You're in the church. You're playing drums. Pots and pans has many drummers started. But what got you from those pots and pans to the drum set?
What got me from the pots and pans to the drum set was, I guess the easiest way to put it, my earliest memory, I must have been about 4 years old. My parents took me to a wedding, and I guess it was a band playing there, and I kept going to the drum set and kept trying to hit the drums and sit in. So the drummer put me on his lap and let me play a little bit. Soon after, probably I was about 4 years old. Like my grandmothers got together and went to my church and got a CB 700. And then, like, my dad bought me a Remo PTS.
Oh, those are early drum sets that were made fantastic. So you started playing, you hop on the drum set, you're playing. Were you listening to any music at that time, that young an age?
Oh, my house was filled with gospel and R&B. So nice. James Cleveland, Andre Crouch, to Earth, Wind and Fire, and DJ Rogers, and everybody who's good. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents are both into music. They kind of retired from the business when they had me. I'm their first of five, and
wow.
and my dad has 8 children altogether. But I'm the first of theirs, and just being in that environment, I was always around music, like at church or at family homes or just in the neighborhood. Like I grew up in the Leimert Park area of Los Angeles, so we had the World Stage out there, and we had Fifth Street Dicks, and like it was a lot of different clubs around there that I didn't realize what I was being exposed to till later. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate it now, and I'm very grateful for it.
Oh my gosh, what an incredible blessing to have that opportunity to be exposed to that kind of music at such a young age. So 5 years old, you're playing in the church, and you're starting to learn the tunes. So how did you learn the songs at 5 years old? Did you listen?
Well, I had a lot of help. My father was playing organ.
Fantastic.
And my grandfather was playing piano and organ. And then my uncle was the pastor of the church, so his wife would sit right in the front and kind of check me. So if I was slowing down or playing too loud or anything, like, she would give me a look or take the sticks from me. And I had another cousin that played, so if I wasn't doing well, she would kick me off and put him on. And it was I learned early.
Man, that's some real serious guidance to have at a young age, man. That's pretty powerful.
Oh yeah. Cross Memorial Church of God in Christ over in over off of Central and 24th on the east side of LA. And I'm very fortunate because I play with Kenneth Crouch every week at the Sofitel, and his family, like his uncle and his granduncles, were the pastors of that church. So it's kind of nice to have that connection. And my father actually managed his uncle for a long time. His uncle was Andre Crouch, who was a huge gospel sensation.
Absolutely.
And, so I've had a lot of opportunities to be kind of close to certain situations. I didn't realize how significant they were until I got older.
Well, there's some serious connections that you were hooking up with at a young age like that.
Hey, it's divine, man. All I can say is that I didn't plan it. God just kind of orchestrated it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times when I thought nothing was happening, nothing was going on, I thought, I was being ignored or forgotten about or not helped. Really, I was being taught lessons that I wasn't being realized I was being taught. You know what I'm saying? Patience and being, consistent and having some passion. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people will let me play because I just really wanted to play. If I was trying to, not showing that I wanted it, then people weren't going to help. That's one of the things my dad taught me, actually. It was like, hey, if you act like you already got it, then, so whoever has it may not be giving it to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to be humble and to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's really great advice at a young age. So now you're playing at the church. Are you starting to meet other musicians outside the church to jam with or play with at that time?
Well, at that time, I was also in school. So like throughout my whole childhood, I had church and I was in school. So even from elementary school, I went to a school called WACA, West Angeles Christian Academy. We had musical classes and, rhythm classes. So, and we had performances as well, you know what I'm saying? So then later on, I transitioned to junior high school. I studied with Jeremy Chung, and a friend of mine, Jared Schoenig, his father was my band director for a little bit. Jared is a big time Broadway drummer out in New York, and he's from LA.
Yeah.
And but learning from him and Jeremy Chung, like these guys were working bona fide drummers. You know what I'm saying? They had homes and children, and making their money playing their instrument and teaching their instrument. And I was around that. You know what I'm saying? I also studied with Jerry Steinholtz when I got to high school.
Great.
That was another
Great guy.
Like he taught me mostly by feel. You know what I'm saying? If it didn't feel right, he would take his cane and hit me in the back of the head, or hit me in the back. Yeah.
Boy, Jerry, rest his soul, was a phenomenal percussion player too, and I had a chance to play with him on several occasions. And what a sweetheart of a man! Boy, that's fantastic influence you had at a young age.
Oh yeah, but I'll tell you what really kind of changed things for me was like in high school. I met some really good friends. I went to high school, Hamilton High School Academy of Music, and I met Kamasi Washington and Cameron Graves and Chris Graves and Frank Abraham, and I was taught, and I didn't know at the time that Trevor Lawrence went there. He was the first drummer in my high school.
Fantastic.
And at the same time he was there, A. Labori Howell Jr. was there. So I had a big lineage to kind of, live up to by the time I got there, when I realized they were there, at one point,
Boy, that's some serious lineage to be a part of. I mean, Abe Jr. is just a phenomenal player. Still on the road with Paul McCartney, still hitting it hard.
Yes. Bad cat, man. But the main thing I've learned from those guys is just their spirits, man. Like, they're really chill dudes, and they're real genuine people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've met Abe a couple times in passing, but like Trevor's actually had me at his house, and I was over there all day. He was just being like, showed me the studio, met his mom, met his kids, met his wife, and then we barely talked about drums. We just talked and got to know each other, and I really appreciate Trevor.
Boy, beautiful. So with some of these guys that you were learning from, how were you studying? Were they taking you through books? Were you reading charts? How are you learning all this?
Well, I didn't actually study the drums until I got to Berkeley. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to Cal State Northridge in California for a couple of years, and I studied with Matt Harris. He played with Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I played in the big band in college, and I also studied with Gary Pratt. He played with Mel Lewis. You know what I'm saying? So I had these guys who played with some of the best drummers in the world, especially for big band.
Yeah.
And they're kicking my butt for a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? And while I was doing that, I was studying also with in the percussion department with Joe Leach and John Magnuson. So I was learning vibraphone and concert percussion, timpani, all that stuff. So I was getting a good exposure to the world of not just drum set, but percussion and rhythm. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
And how to be a musician. You know what I'm saying? So I think really getting a lot thrown at me at a young age, I was able to just take it all in, but it's taken years to kind of appreciate what happened to me. So I was like, wow, I look back on it, I was like, this is a blessing. You know what I'm saying? I've learned classical, Latin, jazz, gospel, blues, every style you can think of. I've touched.
Well, what a great influence, Lyndon, because what's interesting about it is the fact that, that you had that level of musicality around you. Even learning mallets and keyboards, I mean, that's now you're getting into theory, you're getting into composition, you're getting into chord structure. That's really a part of the musical development, which many drummers do not go down that path. So the fact that you were exposed, really.
But I would say I have a long way to go. I'm still a student. You know what I'm saying? Like I would say, just being exposed to it and maybe a better musician from the drum chair, because I can be aware of what's happening. So I'll know how to color things. I know how to set up things. I know how to use dynamics to my advantage. I know how to how to play on top of the beat instead of playing on the beat, behind the beat. So I've learned several little nuances. You know what I'm saying? That I can apply to the drums when I'm playing with other instruments and other musicians and even other drummers. It's not just a bunch of noise, like it's a real conversation and it's some real music and real vibes happening.
Well, you mentioned about being able to be exposed to people with players who had played with people like Mel Lewis. And Mel Lewis from the New York area, I used to go see him every Monday night at the Village Vanguard with
New York,
the Mel Lewis big band. And every Monday night they had all of the top New York sessions players playing in that band. And to go hear Mel play and the way Mel voiced and how everybody reacted to him, that was some great influence. Who were some of the drummers that you were listening to around that time?
Around the time that I was exposed to, when I was in college and studying with Matt Harris and those guys, I was exposed to Ralph Peterson. I went to the very last IAJE that they had, and I was there with the Cal State Northridge Big Band. We had been reporting and traveling, and it was a great experience. And we were invited to the festival. I mean, to the event, the convention. It was in Long Beach, actually. I just played there over the weekend. But I saw Ralph play up close. I never heard of him. I've heard him play. I just didn't know who he was. But to see him up close, and what shocked me was this guy picked up a trumpet in the middle of a drum solo. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I thought I was pretty good at that point. I was like, oh yeah, I'm in college. I'm playing. I'm young, and this cat just showed me that I have a long way to go. You know what I'm saying? And it humbled me. And then he actually talked to me. And we spoke, and we hung out, and I was scared out of my mind. He was a big dude and very masculine man.
Yeah.
But he took time with me and spoke to me. And I was like, man, I would love to study with you one day. Oh my God, man, it'll be great. And then maybe my second year at Berkeley, he got a job at Berkeley, and I was the student that had to audition him for his job. So I walked in, and he just laughed. He was like, I got this job. I got this. That's all he said. And he stayed there until he passed away.
Ralph, I had the chance of knowing Ralph for probably the past 30 plus years. And it was such a gem. But I met him, and I didn't realize that it was him. I used to go hear Art Blakey play at clubs in New York. And Art would all of a sudden during the set invite this young drummer up.
Yeah.
And it was Ralph, and here I'm going to hear Art Blakey, and then Ralph sits in and played incredibly great as a young kid with Art
Blakey. I studied with Ralph and John Ramsey.
Oh man, John's another one. Another one who came out of the school of Alan Dawson too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it was a lot that I was exposed to that I'm really appreciating now. Because I really, being in Boston, and I lived in the same block Tony Williams grew up in, what I'm saying, in Roxbury. Like I met Lenny Nelson, like one of the guys that inspired Tony Williams. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
I'm studying with John Ramsey, who wrote the book on Alan Dawson, and he was one of Art Blakey's handpicked drummers for his big band. You know what I'm saying? And John actually served Art, like he managed him and rubbed his back and set his drums up. I was like, man, this this is incredible. And then while I'm studying with them, I'm in class with like Thomas Pridgen.
Oh man, Tommy is
You know
such
what
a
I'm saying?
phenomenal player.
Like right before Thomas got the Mars Volta gig, like he did a year at Berkeley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we would hang out and smoke weed and get in trouble and practice and he would, you know, be hard on me like, man, you suck, man, you need to practice, you know, and I'm glad for that, you know what I'm saying? And a friend of mine named Ronald Brunner told him about me, so he had high expectations. So he was like, oh, but you're not what Ronald was saying. You need to like, I was like, oh, really? Okay, I need to share it, you know. So by the time we got cool, he got that gig and started taking over the world, you know what I'm saying?
Boy, Thomas is another phenomenon. I met Thomas as a young kid when his grandmother used to bring
Man,
him to the conventions, and
yeah,
she'd ask me to sit down with him and teach him some stuff, and I'd pull him aside and just show him. He was such a sponge of learning at that young age. But there are names that you're mentioning that I want everyone listening to understand and pause the recording that you're hearing to and write these names down. When you hear names like Mel Lewis and John Ramsey, these guys, listen, these guys, you know, were you know, Ralph Peterson. My gosh, these guys are legends in the industry, and specifically in the jazz world that was nurturing music that was delivering us eventually to fusion and rock and everything that we have today.
yeah, oh, most definitely. And a lot of these guys were the influences of the guys I was kind of listening to. Like I love Chris Day. I watched his journey. Like he started in church too.
Yeah.
And he was playing with Kim Burrell, and he was playing. Then I saw him with Kenny Garrett. You know what I'm saying? And so Ronald took me to go see him at Catalina's, the old one in Hollywood. And I must have been 17, 16, and Ronald snuck us in, and we stayed for both sets. And then Chris talked to us for hours. You know, he was telling us, man, y'all need to practice and don't give up. You know, he just really poured into us. And then after that, seeing how he just, you know, invented himself, you know what I'm saying? And kind of, you know, really took the whole influence of hip hop and sampling and took it to the acoustic drum set, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's just a part of the whole lineage as well. You know, when you think of how drums started with like the trap set, you know what I'm saying? You think of, you know, Baby Dobbs and names like that. And, you know, from the whole, you know, I don't know, 1930s and 20s era, you know what I'm saying? Where so like Chris kind of reminds me of that ingenuity, like where he's taking just pieces and putting it together and trapping it and making a kid out of it, and you got these sounds and then the way he plays and his musicianship is just phenomenal. You know, I'm a huge fan. You know?
Yeah, Chris has that old school sound, but he delivers it in a real new school way.
Well, I think it's just it may be a Texas thing, you know, him and Eric Harlan.
Yeah, totally.
and then, you know, Cleon is out there in Texas, and Mike Mitchell, and, you know, it's a lot of guys from Texas. And then, you know, Terry Baker, I'm not sure if he's from there, but he's there now. Yeah. You know, and it's a lot of Texas guys who are bad, man.
Yeah. There were some guys, the Willie Ornelas, another guy from Texas, you know, Tony Brauneagle. There were a lot of guys that went out and who are still doing studio work out in LA that were from Texas. So yeah, Texas, you're right, did breed a lot of great drummers and continues to pump them out for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now, what made you go to Berkeley? When did the Berkeley connection happen?
You know, I think, really, to be honest, the seed was planted in general from my father. You know, he was basically, you know, very, he didn't push me to be a drummer. He was basically saying, if you want to do this, then you got to do it right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, see, when he was working with Andre Crouch, he met Bill Maxwell. And he met Bill Maxwell when Bill Maxwell wasn't the Bill Maxwell that we know.
Yeah, yeah.
But Bill Maxwell has always been Bill Maxwell in terms of his talent and his ability. But folks didn't know until we started working with Andre Crouch. So my dad would, you know, Abe Laboriel, Bill Maxwell, like those guys. Man, I forgot the piano player, but it was guys. They were all session musicians. So he thought a real musician was able to read, play all styles, and be a professional. So if I wasn't moving towards that direction, he did not support what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I had to make sure, okay, if you know, his bar for me was Bill Maxwell, basically. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was like, okay, well, okay, you can play. Are you making money? Are you reading? Are you doing this? So when I started, you know, studying in school, I started getting more not support, but just more affirmation from my father in a way where he was like, okay, now I see you're serious. Okay, now I see you're doing. So when I started talking about Berkeley, he supported it. You know what I'm saying? He when I went to Berkeley, I ended with a full scholarship, but I started with just $2,000. I had some money from the government. I had some private scholarship money, but I literally I went to that school on faith. You know what I'm saying? I knew Boston was the city that Tony went, grew up in, and I knew a lot of great drummers went to that school. Benny Caluta,
Yeah,
Antonio Sanchez.
yeah, totally. Steve
Just
Smith.
the list literally goes on. I can go on forever. So I knew there was a recruiter that came to my school in high school, and his name was Peter Gordon. And he just, other schools came, but when he talked about Berkeley and the lineage, I was like, something in my spirit was like, I got to go there. And then it wasn't easy. I had to really want it, you know what I'm saying? So I went to the audition process. They only gave me a partial scholarship, but I had a full scholarship at CSUN. So I was like, I could stay at CSUN. But I did 2 years, and I was like, I think I got what I needed from here. And even Gary Pratt and Matt was like, I think you go for it. You know what I'm saying? So I went there broke, man, broke, basically homeless. You know what I'm saying? And just out of faith, things started coming together. You know what I'm saying? My willingness to just, okay, let's see what happens. I didn't have the right coat. I didn't have enough clothes. I didn't have a drum set. You know what I'm saying? I had a bag of cymbals, a little leather jacket, and some clothes. That was it. And then my best friend, Frank, he let me stay in his dorm room. So I crashed in the dorm for almost a year. And, I didn't know other people were doing it. So I was just being real quiet about it. And just, I would just sleep and wake up and shed. Sleep, wake up and shed. Go to class, shed. Hang out with Thomas and those guys and shed. And I did that every day for a year. And then things just started opening up, started gigging. I was able to get a place and, got a girlfriend, so but none of that would have ever happened had I not had the faith to just get on that plane. And because I was willing to go back home, I was like, if I don't get this loan, if I don't get this, then it's over. So everything just, I called my big sister. I was like, hey, I need a co-signer. Could you please? She was like, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Like over the phone, they faxed it to her. I was in there. So I had to worry about one thing at a time, and everything got put in place. And by the time I left that school, I felt like I was ready to be a professional. I was ready, I was exposed to, even in school, I was, I met Phil Wilson. He played with Mel Lewis as well.
Yeah.
I borrowed Mel Lewis's, what was it? The sock symbol, like this switch. He had a switch symbol with ribbons. Yeah, when I played in that big band, he let me use that symbol. When I played in Ralph's band, he would let me play his symbols. You know what I'm saying? When I played in Lynn Viviano's band, he gave me one of the symbols that I forgot who was it. I think Buddy Rich, one with Buddy Rich's symbols or something. And so it was just like I was being guided as a result of taking that chance. You know what I'm saying? I was scared out my mind and I was cold. You know what I'm saying? But as time went on, like I think like eventually someone gave me a coat. Someone felt sorry for me, like, hey man, you cold, here, take this. And then everything that was done for me, I was able to do for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It was some guys that came after me, like Dana Hawkins, and who I was able to just say, hey man, this is what I did. You can do this. You know what I'm saying? Hey, go talk to this counselor, go see this scholarship, use my drum set. I was able to help people because I realized, hey, you don't have to go through what I went through. I just went through it last year. And here's the shortcut. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm kind of going through a season of that again, where it's like, okay, I've been through some things, and now I've had a different perspective now, so I'm able to say, okay, I can, give you the shortcut. I did the hard way and the long way. Well, this is how you do it, So, and as a result, blessings and opportunities keep coming to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what do you think drove you? I mean, listen, you really stepped out on a limb and put yourself into a situation purely on just not knowing what was going to happen, but it seems like you had this driven desire to just put your head down and move forward. What drove you at this point?
I would say at that point it was planted early because of my parents are Christians. We're Pentecostal, tongue talking, church and God in Christ folk, and I'm like fourth generation. My grandfather was actually the organist of the founder of the church, Charles Harrison Mason. Like he would travel with him before he met my grandmother, and I think that's how my grandparents met, on the road actually. But I think hearing certain word, You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do it. You know, with God, nothing's impossible. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. You know, just, you know, we walk by faith and not by sight. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Those things being planted in my spirit. So when obstacles would come, I would, you know, put it in the right perspective. Okay, well, this must be an obstacle. I would look at it as an equation. Okay, if I can't get into school, this must be something. Nothing's impossible, so there must be a way. So let me believe and trust that God will work this out somehow. Sometimes it didn't work out the way I thought it would, but when I look back on it, it's like, well, it worked out better than I thought it would. You know, it was scary, it was dark, it was cloudy. I had to just even be willing to be told no and not yet. And then a week later, I get a phone call. You know what? There's space for you, or this. I would just jump on the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And I learned how to be grateful. I think it taught me to be humble and not take it for granted when you have an opportunity to learn, when you have an opportunity to play and share your gifts. You know.
Well, this is so fantastic. And, you know, it's such a great positive message that you're sending to people that, you know, when you're driven and you have this passion, you know, listening to the lessons that life teaches us, even though we might not know it is teaching us, if we learn to listen to all those life lessons, it can guide our path to find bigger and better things. So here you are now, you're at Berkeley, you're meeting musicians, you're studying with some great people. I know you had taken some lessons, some classes with Sergio Bellotti.
Sergio was my first teacher there. So after I got there and went to the loan and was still, you know, locked down my spot on the floor in my friend's dorm room and learned how to get in and out through the security and all that. My first day in school, I sat with Sergio, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna come in and learn everything, and he was just real chill and real slow. He was like, okay, we're going to learn linear drumming. I was like, what's that? You know, I want to do some swinging. And then he was like, no, you have to learn this. So we kind of argued for a couple weeks, you know what I'm saying? So he was the right guy for me. He had the right spirit and the right vibe, because I think he recognized my passion. And I think he was patient with me.
Yeah.
In a sense, by the time I only did one semester with him, but we remained friends my whole experience there. And he's been a mentor and a big brother ever since. I remember he opened up a drum shop called A1 Drums.
Yes.
And I think that's where I was able to buy a drum set for the first time. You know what I'm saying? I bought it from him. And there was Jack's drum shop downstairs.
Well, Sergio still has his store. It's called 24/7 Drums.
But, yeah.
He's still there now selling drums and teaching and at Berkeley and helping.
But I'm gonna tell you, I learned some other lessons. Like, I learned how to, you know, I learned I had to humble myself. Like, he gave me some good advice I ignored. Like, he was like, you need to go do this circus gig. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no, I want to go play for Usher. I want to go play for this person. He just kind of laughed and he was like, okay, you'll learn. You know, and you know, so after, you know, I had a hard time paying rent and eating. I was like, oh, I should have took that circus gig. So the next time I had an opportunity, I thought about what Sergio was talking about, and I was like, you know, it's not about, you know, being a star all the time. It's about, you know, taking care of your business. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so the next gig I had, I was playing on this boat called the Odyssey. And it would go around the Boston Harbor, and I was doing like 7 gigs a week, and I was grateful for it. I was learning cover tunes. Like, one night I was playing jazz, another night I'm playing hip hop, another night, you know, and then I'm having to play with a different band every night. And I remember I told Sergio about that. He's like, oh, you learn now, you know what I'm saying? You know, so because he was like, because I was thinking all my other friends, you know, like Thomas and all these guys were doing major profile gigs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm on the boat. And Thomas is in an arena. So I've had to learn, don't compare yourself, and that's him, and be happy for him, you know, and learn from him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, he's doing something right. So, you know, learn from him and congratulate him and support him. And when I started having that mindset, like I said, more opportunities started coming. You know what I'm saying? You know, as a result of going to Berkeley, I met Esperanza Spalding. You know what I'm saying? We met on the street. We met on Mass Avenue. I'm walking to my gig. She's walking to her gig. We've seen each other a couple of times. So we just started talking, and we never played with each other until our graduation. She had written some charts, and, you know, I've been working on my reading and working on, you know, my sight reading and trying to get better interpretation. And you know, she had a really good chart and people were having problems reading it. And I think Francisco Mela was supposed to play and he couldn't do it. So I did it. And she was like, oh, you kind of vibe with my music. And it didn't take you long. And this, you know, and I didn't know she was going to be who she is. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking she's cute. She's black. She plays the bass. She can sing. We homies, all good. You know, I remember she was dating Christian Scott at the time. So I was like, you know, okay, cool. Let's just keep friendly. And, you know, so when we started playing, like, I was like, oh, I didn't expect to, you know, we're playing at every club in Boston. And then we started playing in Europe and we started touring and then we started recording. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool. So it was like everything I had been going through prepared me for that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I had to learn how to just, you know, it was some things in that situation I couldn't learn on the job. I had to already know certain things to do it. You know what I'm saying? So had I not been prepared and not been in that position, I wouldn't have been able to work with her. You know what I'm saying?
And what was it about her music? I mean, Esperanza Spalding, I am such a huge fan of hers and yourself too, because when you guys play together, you really lock in as one band. I mean, it's just that vibe that is just so beautiful. What is it about her music that you were able to understand and just feel in with and just lock in immediately?
Well, I think music, you know, is it comes from your soul. You know what I'm saying? We actually got to know each other, and like before we really even played, like we just talked as friends, and I would see what she did, and I genuinely liked what I heard. You know, like she had a lot of Brazilian influence, a lot of hip hop influence, a lot of jazz influence, and I like all that kind of music. So her music was very, at the time I met her, like she was kind of experimenting and dabbling in everything, and that's what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So whatever style she wanted to go, I had no problem. She was like, I want this hip hop thing on this section, then I want to swing on this section, and then I wanted to be real soft in this section, then I want to go to 12 in this section. So it was like whatever she wanted to do, I was able to understand it or break it down because I've been in the habit of doing that. You know what I'm saying? So we would have the short rehearsals and it would be some of the most intricate, difficult stuff. But you know, at that time, that's what I was doing that every day. So I think I was prepared to help her see her vision. You know what I'm saying?
Was she one of your first tours that you did?
I would say as an adult, yes. Like when we met on the street, she said, we're going to play around the world and we're going to reach millions of people. I was like, I believe that. Let's do it. Right. And then a year later, we're doing our first tour in Europe. You know what I'm saying? And we're opening up for McCoy Tyner, and we're opening up for Pharoah Sanders, and we're opening up for, you know, like I remember we did one thing where we played for Barack Obama at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony.
I saw that performance, and that was the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony that was going on. You guys played, and you guys just played so. It was just so mature. It was just so enjoyable. It was just so happy. It was happy music. It was just beautiful stuff. So, what was that like going in there and playing in front of the president?
Well, it was humbling. I thank God. You know, he was the first Black president, and she was the first jazz artist to bring music in that ceremony ever in the history of the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. Like it was, you know, he requested her. Like we were leaving, finishing up our tour, and we left Europe, and then she got a phone call from the president because he was a fan of hers. You know, she had done something at the White House, and so he wanted her there. And so we got right back on that plane, went to Oslo, and we didn't rehearse. Like I think we rehearsed on the plane and rehearsed in the green room, and like it was a certain song he wanted to hear, and I knew the vibe and the message she was trying to do through the songs. I was like, okay, well, I don't have to bash and play hard and play loud. I just got to be delicate and soft and supportive. And I walked out there. It was kings and queens and duchesses and prime ministers, and Barack was there, Oprah was there. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And walked on, just kept my composure, played. My dad made me buy a tux. I remember I had a suit, and my dad was like, no, you know, we're going to take you to Men's Warehouse and get you a tux, and he paid for it. You know?
Good for him.
I had to pay him back though, but I mean, like my mom, like she made me do my hair. Like I had dreads at the time, so she's like, "No, we got like the day you were like you were going to represent us and your people and America, right?" You know what I'm saying? And I was so proud. And then after we did that, man, we actually played this big concert. So it was like, you know, every style of music was there. You know what I'm saying? And then they had this huge after party, and you know, Prince was there, and Will Smith, and all these people, and we had a chance to play for all of them. So I think that's how she met Prince, and you know, we actually, I think Prince's last tour, we opened it. So it was us and Layla. It was Esperanza, Layla. It was all jazz. Layla Hathaway, Esperanza, and then Prince. You know what I'm saying?
That was Prince's The Welcome to America tour.
Yes, it was.
Right. I remember that.
And he played in Jersey.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And I played on John Blackwell, rest in peace. I played on John Blackwell's kit.
Boy, you know? John was another former student of mine who I had the chance of meeting him when he was 12 years old and teaching him and having a chance to be a part of his life with his dad. John Blackwell Sr. was also a drummer.
Yes.
And, he was from South Carolina and used to come down to hear me play. And when I was down there, and just a great kid, but you played on his drums, on his kit, with his China behind him, with that kit, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and he went to Berkeley.
He's another Berkeley guy, for sure. Actually, he
like his baby brother, Les Cleveland, and he and I became friends. So so he brought John up to the school all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so I had a chance to really, you know, because at that time John was the biggest drummer in the world. He was playing with Prince and New Power Generation, and you know, he was also doing Patti LaBelle. Like I first saw John Blackwell play for Patti LaBelle. It was Jethro Da Silva. He was the MD.
Yes.
And and our church, West Angeles, the church I grew up at, they were doing like some Mother's Day concert, and they brought the big stage in and brought Patty in, and John was playing drums. This is like a year or two before I went to Berkeley. John was going in, man. I was like, I have never seen that much passion and skill. You know what I'm saying? You know, he had passion, but he also had skill. So I was like, wow, okay.
High level of skill, and he played with such facility however he wanted. But I heard him with Patti LaBelle, then I heard him with Justin Timberlake, then I heard him with Prince, and I heard him through all those. And every gig he rose to the level of what had to be delivered. So, man, you were surrounded by some really great, influential people in the course of your journey.
I've been blessed, man. I mean, even like the drummer at my church was Michael Newble, but he was one of three. He was the main drummer, but also there was LaValle Bell, and then sometimes Teddy Campbell would play. Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, or just because the type of church it was like one of the bigger churches. Yeah. So a lot of gospel artists would come through and bring their band. So I saw Calvin Rogers play when he was young. I saw Gerald Hayward play when he was young. I saw Doobie Powell. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm telling you, I was soaking in a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that was just at that stage of my life, in that season, in that place. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I was watching these professionals, and I'm behind the kit every time they're playing. Yeah. You know, Jeremy Haynes, Liddell, I've got his last name from Detroit, and you know, just all these great drummers, but they came. I mean, I guess a lot of my swag came from watching these guys come off a plane, come to my church. They had their luggage, they had their you know, fresh clothes on. They came focused, and they were smashed. And I was like, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, I was exposed to, you know, the whole scene at the world stage, and you know, Billy Higgins, man. I met Billy Higgins in high school a month or two before he passed. He was doing a clinic at my high school. I wasn't allowed in because I was in the lower band, so it was only for the higher bands. I think Kevin Cantor was playing in the higher band, and you know, he's a friend of me. You know, he just moved back to LA, but he was in New York playing a lot. And man, like he let us in. It was me, it was Robert Miller, it was Kamasi, it was Cameron, and we snuck in. And Billy, you know, our bander had kicked us out, and Billy Higgins was like, "No, let him in." And he made me sit next to him, and he was so calm and peaceful and sweet. And I remember I just gravitated towards him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know who he was. I just knew there was this kind man who had this amazing Gretsch kit, and he was just playing his butt off, real soft. You know what I'm saying? And then one of the students had insulted him, and they said, yeah, he looks like a crackhead or something. So I cussed that guy out. And then Billy tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, man, it's cool. You don't know yet. It's all right. Don't be like, and I'm still working on that. I got to show people. I think that's why me and Thomas get along, and me and Ronald, and a lot of the, because drummers sometimes can be very cool and calm, and I'm that. But drummers also can be very aggressive and very, you know what I'm saying? And we need to be that way because of the nature of our instrument. You know, it's a full body thing, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Lyndon,
but we also have to have that balance. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have to be able to be aggressive and all that, but also have to know how to, temper it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just like in music, you know what I'm saying? There are times I have to play loud and soft, but I may have to come down to a deep crescendo and, pianissimo at a moment's notice. And that makes a huge effect, you know what I'm saying? When it's like, you know what I'm saying? So
it's the word I think you're describing is discipline, self-control. We have to have the ability to deliver insanity when we need it.
Yeah.
And we have to also deliver sensitivity when we need it. And
yes,
that's immediate. And that's something which takes years to develop, not only in our playing skills, but at our personality character skills.
Yes, sir.
That's a real big part of it. But you seem to deliver that so well, and that aggression, that comes out. We need that when the music needs to be driven. We have to understand what that aggression is so we know how to call upon it when we need it.
Well, I learned that a lot with Esperanza. See, it was with Esperanza. And with I played with Elvin Jones's brother, Hank Jones.
Hank, man.
So in both of those situations, I assumed I had to play real soft. You know what I'm saying? So they were like, we don't mind the dynamics, but we need energy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had to learn and interpret. What does that mean? Okay, I get it. So I know in church, there are a lot of times there'll be a lot of intense moments, but the music will be soft. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Yeah, and it worked. So I was like, okay, I think I can kind of interpret what they mean based off of the experiences I had when I was young. And you know what I'm saying? So when I would play kind of hard with brushes, Hank Jones was like, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. Like when I would play real soft with Esperanza, but keep my bass drum loud. She was like, that's what I need. I was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really get into their heads and know, okay, I have to still do my job, but part of the job is also interpreting things in a correct way. And that's what kind of keeps me working. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's that flexibility, that ability to be a chameleon, to deliver to each artist what they want. And that's to me where a high professional level is, which you do so well because you're able to adapt to the situation and give them what they need at that time.
Man, thank you, man.
Really?
No, but I've watched the best do it, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I really have to give all glory to God, man, because, there are a lot of other people who are great musicians and great drummers, but they didn't have my particular path. You know what I'm saying? They like maybe they had one or two people that they learned from, but I've had so many people I was exposed to throughout my whole life. And when I was thinking, nothing's happening, like I said before, I wasn't playing a whole lot or gigging a whole lot. I was studying a whole lot. I was watching a whole lot. I was observing a whole lot. And I was meditating and thinking and praying too. I had to take things to God. Like, hey, my friends are working. Why not I work it? I had to really be, but in doing that, it was a process. You know what I'm saying? Like who you are as a man and who you are as a person, it comes out in your music. It comes out in your professional music life. It comes out in your relationships. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to see how it all ties in together. You know what I'm saying? The whole, if I want to be a certain way as a musician, that's how I have to be off the drums. You know what I'm saying? If I want to be respected and be loved, I have to show respect and love. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I have to show respect and love when I'm getting cussed out at because I'm missing parts. You know what I'm saying?
This is great that you understand this, and this is great that you are humble enough to realize, hey man, this is what the industry is.
No, but I realized too that there's always somebody else ready to play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So I've lost a lot of work just having a bad attitude and not processing criticism in a mature way, or just having the wrong vibe. You know what I'm saying? And I got to be real. I got to be myself. So I don't like being fake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also I know there's a certain way you have to carry yourself, and there's a certain energy you got to put out there if you expect to get anything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't put out fake energy. So if you don't vibe with me, that's cool. I realize I don't have to make everybody like me, and you don't have to dig me and all that. But I do realize, that most people have respect for me, you know what I'm saying? Because I show respect, you know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of guys who didn't like me, but we ended up being friends because I just respectfully said, I mean, I have a gig and people come to the gig, and a lot of times I walk up to them like, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? I'm Lyndon. I'm a fan. I've heard you play. And then it breaks the ice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At my gig, I remember it was at NAMM last year, like Anderson .Paak showed up. Anderson .Paak, Terrion Goli, um, Sput came through, like all these major people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm very humble, and I was a little scared. I'm like, man, I'm a little rusty sometimes, and I had to realize it's not about me sometimes. It's about, they're here for the music, they're here for the experience, and
Right.
they didn't come to watch Lyndon Rochelle show off. Like, they came to have a good time, feel the vibe, and maybe sit in, you know what I'm saying? And that's usually what goes down,
And it really is as simple as that, but it's just so great. We have so many drummers that are joining us right now live. Kevin Ortiz is here. Nina Perra, who's a wonderful female drummer from São Paulo, Brazil. She's here.
Right.
We've got Carlos Gutzman, a phenomenal drummer from Miami. Juan Munoz is here. My gosh, John Doss. We've got Danielle Millward. We've got so many great drummers that are joining us here right now. And I got a question here from Carlos Gutzman. He says, Lyndon, love hearing your story of how you really went after your dream. What led you to endorse Mapex drums over the other brands in the market? And do you have any special Joe Hibbs memories? Carlos knew Joe Hibbs also.
Oh, awesome. What led me to endorse Mapex drums was because they sound good, number one. Without knowing what drum it was, every time I would play one, I would look at the brand and say, oh, okay, Mapex. So like, it really started with their Black Panther, and they had this hand-hammered snare drum at Berkeley. It was a 13-inch 6x13 hand-hammered. I got something similar over here now. But oh, sorry. But it was the sound, number one. Number two, Ralph played them.
Yeah, Ralph Peterson.
You know what I'm saying? So in my lessons, I would notice, I was like, these drums have a vibe I like. They sound older. They have a warmth and a nice attack to them, but they also kind of have, me being a versatile drummer, I can do a lot more on them. You know what I'm saying? So if I play jazz, I can swing on them. I'm playing R&B, you can feel them. If I'm recording, they sound, so it's like every situation I'm realistically in, they work for what I do. Yeah. So that's why I like the drums. And then so Ralph introduced me to Joe over the phone. You know what I'm saying? Ralph was like, this is Lyndon. You need to help him out. And then he got off the phone. And then so that's how I met Joe. We started talking, and then he was just like, he hadn't even heard me play yet. So I went to Nashville with Esperanza, and he came down and I think that was my first interview. I was probably 100 pounds bigger, and just happy to be working. And what Joe was just like, I like the way you play, and I came here because I like the music. And he brought who was it? He played, oh my God, I can't think. He's in Nashville. He played with Sting. He played with a bunch of people, but he brought some major drummers to the show to check me out, and I was honored by that. But I will say this about Joe. I saw him also the day before he passed away. He was at the NAMM show doing what he loved to do. And I had the honor of introducing him to a couple guys. Like what Ralph did for me, I did for somebody else, you know what I'm saying? And I had no idea that would be my last time seeing him. But, we were at the booth, and he was taking a break, and that break ended up being a 3-hour break. And we just hung out and talked, and he was like, I'm cool. This is where I want to be. I'm happy. And I heard he passed at the airport.
Yes. And Joe was as I said, a dear friend of mine for 40 years. And it was great that he heard that kind of level of talent within yourself and wanted to be important. I also spoke to him the evening before he passed away. And Carlos, great question about bringing up the memories of Joe Hibbs, because he passed away a few years ago, and he passed away at the airports. He was at the gate getting ready to fly back. And look at this. Was that what we did when we had the at NAMM? We had that show, and I was there. I was the MC for that. Wasn't that
I
great?
remember.
A great honoring of Joe Hibbs at that show at the NAMP show, and actually that some of that footage is on the internet. If someone wants to go there into YouTube and check it out, that
I
celebration.
gotta find that.
Yeah, go check it out. It was just great stuff. But Carlos, great question. In with Mapex. So Mapex, what kit do you have behind you right now?
Oh, I have two kits back here. I have my brand new Mars series Driftwood. It's a bop kit. It's just 10, 14, 18. I'll probably bring it a little closer. It looks like Sonar is a part of our family now, so it looks like one of them Sonar SQs, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, I wouldn't want to take one of those outside on the road and doing gigs. But this, I can drop it and hit it and play it, and it still looks good. You know, so I got that, and then I got a Saturn Exotic. I got it from Joe. It's it was like a limited series, and it was from maybe 2011, and I still got it. Still sounds great. And that's why I still play them.
Boy, it's just so great that you have this relationship with Mapex, and they make such great quality snare drums too. I mean, all their entire line of snare drums is a whole nother.
I got one right here. Hold on. Dude, this is the last snare Joe sent me.
Which one is that?
I think this is the Sledgehammer. It's hand-hammered brass with two lugs.
Brass. That was out of the mind of Joe Hibbs, these drums. I know it.
Yes, sir. So I had no idea that he was such an innovator in terms of, coming up with ideas for drums and pedals and, hardware and different things like that, man. So
but he did, but you know what he would do? It's interesting because I got a call from Joe and he wanted me to help him design the Falcon pedal, both the pedal and the Falcon hi-hat. So we went back and forth, and we went back, several times, and I helped the design of the Falcon pedal to get the feel and the positioning for what it was, and also the Falcon hi-hat. So they, what Mapex does is they pull in artists to kind of feel and check it out. Of course, with the Design Lab drums, what they did with
Miller, man.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother level of.
Russ is a great. What's the best word to put it? Like he's just a great man. You know what I'm saying? He writes books. Like I got to know him through his books. You know what I'm saying? And like somebody gave me one of his books when I was in high school. And I was like, oh, okay. And then his story inspired me. Like I'm kind of going through something right now. I'll just be honest. Like I live in my studio. You know what I'm saying? But I can say that because Russ lived in his studio.
He sure did.
He lived in his studio right in LA, and so I made it into like a workspace, like a living workspace. I sleep, I get up and practice, take my walks, exercise, do what I got to do, gig, and do it all over again. You know what I'm saying? And then I was feeling kind of bad for myself, and then I heard Russ do an interview, and he was like, "Yeah, man, for a couple of years, I was in my closet." I was like, "What? Russ Miller?" Okay.
That interview was the interview I did with Russ.
Oh.
It's called the Sessions Panel.
You kidding?
YouTube. Go to the Sessions Panel. 3 words. The Sessions plural panel. The Sessions panel. And click in Russ Miller. Why is that? And he talks exactly about that because I kept on asking him. Another one, he came in from Ohio, made the move out there, lived in his studio for a long time, man, until he finally honed in his act of what he was doing. So you're on a path of greatness there, Lyndon.
Yes,
you really are.
Yes, sir. So I'm just saying, hearing that was from him, because now he's the man.
Oh, Russ is,
you know what I'm saying?
Aside from all the recording he's doing for albums, aside from the television and movie stuff he's doing, he has his own studio, which is this huge studio out in LA, which he just moved to a larger facility. He's written books. He's done interviews. I mean, he's designed Design Lab, which Russ has also got architectural and engineering skills.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a guy that really is well fine-tuned to have great
serious cat.
Yeah, in many areas, that's for sure, man.
And he can play.
And he plays his ass off, for sure.
Yeah.
We have several people that are here that are still joining us here. For example, I got Tyler Dunphy. I've got Hannah Anderson, who's a phenomenal female player who lives in Denmark. She's joining us here right now. We have Sharon Lynn Garnett Rochelle. Who is that?
My mom.
That's your mom, Sharon. Thanks so much for joining us. That's beautiful. That's Diego Sanchez. We've got Nico Astaneri, who loves the Mars series. So, I mean, you've got a global amount of people. We also have Lauren B. Rochelle. Who's Lauren?
That's my baby sister.
Oh man, beautiful, beautiful. That is
Her
fantastic.
beautiful self.
Well, listen, they've got to be incredibly proud of you, Lyndon. You have really kind of gone out there. And if I talk about some of the artists, James Tormey, Eric Darius, James Carson, Brenda Whitaker. I mean, you've got a list of people. You're teaching privately, not only privately, but also at the church. You do some church teaching also.
Mm.
And you're aligned in India as a mentor with let me get this right, the Swarna Bahomi,
Yeah.
which is the Academy of Music in Chennai, near Chennai.
Yes.
It's phenomenal that you're involved with all this going on. I mean, you really got a lot of stuff that you're doing that is really giving back at a high level.
Man, blessings, man. Well, a lot was given to me. You know what I'm saying? When I was in India, like that was probably one of the best experiences of my life, man. Like I'm divorced now. I went there right before I got married. So I went there focused, you know what I'm saying? I got to get some money and pay for this wedding and, and start my life. So I went there, not messing around, you know what I'm saying? I was out there through Prasanna. Prasanna is a world-class jazz Indian guitarist.
Yeah,
he started that school with the Indian government, and he brought me in for a few months. That's how I met James Carson. James Carson is a wonderful musician. He studied with Cecil Taylor.
Yeah.
Over at the Boston Conservatory, and then me and him hooked up as a result of both of us teaching there. But while I was there, every day, I had like maybe a group of 10 students. I would teach ensembles. I would teach private lessons, and then we would eat together. One of my students had some hash, so I would smoke with my students, and we would go to the towns and eat. And then Ed DeGeneiro was incredible fusion guitarist. Incredible. It was him, Natalie John, myself, I forget Steve's last name, but we toured India. We went to Calcutta. I got in the Ganges River, and I jumped in the Ganges. I figured this is a spiritual place. I once in a lifetime, let me do it. We played at the Green Frog, like the biggest jazz club in India. So my man Ed put this tour, so I didn't expect all that. I just expected to go to the school, do my job, and teach. So I didn't expect to do teaching, do a tour, get to know these wonderful students, and who I still cherish to this day. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, this is so fantastic. Well, I'll tell you something. You have and you continue to be an influence to many people around the world. And I think, Lyndon, this is something which, and I understand you get it. You understand the responsibility that comes with this, because as we have been given certain blessings in our lives, we have to now equally share that and lift other people throughout what gifts we've been given.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And also, like, I want to give some love to Mino Symbols, because I actually had the honor of bringing Ralph in. Like when Ralph brought me into Mapex, Ralph was looking for a new cymbal home. He was like, I see you playing these cymbals. They sound good. How do you like them? I was like, I love them. They're good. So I called Chris, and Chris was like, I know exactly who Ralph Peterson is. And then the next week he had a signature cymbal line. So I was like so happy that they just loved him and showed him respect before he passed away, especially. And so Chris, and then the guys at Big Firth, but especially everybody at Mapex, for even hooking us up. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thanks so much. Well, I'll tell you something. The pleasure is absolutely mine, because we get a chance to be able to hear these stories, hear these ideas, and you have articulated so well your passion for drumming and your passion for music. And I want everyone that's hearing our voice, whether they hear it live right now or whether they go back and watch it on Mapex Facebook page, or if they go back and watch it on the Mapex YouTube channel, I think the key thing about this is to listen to all the names that Lyndon has mentioned and go back and do the homework. When you hear a name like Mel Lewis, go do the homework. You hear a name like Art Blakey, go do the homework. Ralph Peterson Jr., go do the homework. Research who they are. Get to know their recordings and what they offer, because these are great, great people that you've had the wonderful opportunity of gracing in their lives, and you're doing it.
See, I've been going through some things like health stuff, right? So, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and it happened as I was a student at Berkeley. I was going through my classes, and I was noticing I had some issues, and I was blacking out and throwing up, and so I finally got diagnosed right after I graduated. right before my career started. You know what I'm saying? So, but then I realized I wasn't the only person that was sick. You know, Ralph and
Yeah.
and then I heard then once I was honest with him about different things, and I started hearing about Buddy Rich, how what he had to overcome.
Yeah,
You know what
sure.
I'm saying? You know how that was a man. You know what I'm saying? Tony Williams had to overcome pain. Elvin Jones had to overcome pain. I see Roy Haynes still today. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
he makes it look easy, but I know there's a lot he has to overcome just to
Absolutely.
be who he is. So I was like, well, that's a part of it. That comes with it. That was a lesson I had to learn. I'm still learning it and perfecting it. But it's like everybody who we see who is great, they had to go through something and they had to overcome something and they had to not allow it to make them quit. You know what I'm saying? And if you do quit, you have to get back up and try again. So I've had to learn those lessons as well. So when moments like this happen, I'm very grateful and I'm seeing that, okay, everything that's happened, it's all worth it and it's all leading to something. And hopefully this will inspire someone else not to quit. I've seen drummers play with no legs. I've seen drummers play with one arm. I've seen guys play with their teeth. I see guys just play on a drum pad. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying when there's a will, there's a way. And truly with God, there's nothing impossible. You know what I'm saying? So if you can really allow yourself to believe that, then you can do some impossible things that you thought were impossible. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a living witness of that for sure.
Boy, well said, Lyndon. And your will is so freaking strong. You are plowing the way like a freaking, steamroller, man. You're really doing. You're keeping it going. Thank you so much, Lyndon. You have
Yes.
done so well. I want everyone to know that on your Facebook page, it's Lyndon.Rochelle at Facebook.
No,
Go to
it's just Lyndon Rochelle, all one word at Facebook, Lyndon
okay.
Rochelle at Instagram, and I think that's all I got. And then I'm on Clubhouse, so you can find me there too.
Fantastic. I want everyone to go follow him. If anybody has contact you by way of Instagram or Facebook, anyone wants any lessons or any information, contact Lyndon. He'll work with you for sure. And this is so great. On behalf of Mapex All Access, Lyndon, you have done absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck. Stay well, man. I will absolutely see you at some point when I get out to LA. We'll touch base.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Much love, sir.
Thanks so much. Stay well.
Thank you. God bless.
Thanks. You too.